Another. So the first center belongs to the Pindanda and Brahmanda, that is Mooladhara, where you are tackling with insecurities. And you have to work on your insecurities. Second center is Swadhisthana, belongs to the Jala Tattva, where you fight for the fears and work on your desires. Third center is the immortal portal that we spoke last time, and we also chanted a Shakti mantra where your worries are dissolved. Now today we'll speak about Anahata, fourth chakra, belongs to the Vayu Tattva. Anahata deals with love. See, we use a ladder to go higher places. Ladder is meant to climb up. But in a spiritual sense of growth, first we need to determine where I should reach. Where is my highest point that I should accomplish? Then as a sadhana or the tool, we can find the ladder. These ladders are the tools of spiritual knowledge. But we are searching answers outside the world, outside the sensory perception, outside to us. Hence, every solution is creating more problems in our life. But the day once you decide that the solution lies within you, then when you start searching within you, which belongs to you, but which is not unfamiliar with you. Hence, you need a torch light, a guide who can divert your attention from the exteriority to the interiority. Anahata chakra, by the time we come to Anahata chakra, our real spiritual journey begins. Our all mass, our hidden personalities, suppressed personalities, artificial personalities belongs to the lower ranks of chakras, Mooladhara, Swadhisthana and Manipura. But when we say it is your Anahata chakra that you want to deal with, this is your Anahata chakra that you want to explore, then you have to be spiritual in nature. When we say spiritual in nature, it is not adopting certain techniques to be as spiritual. Spiritual in nature is to try to find the answer within yourself, not outside of you, not in others. Because others and outside is mere reflection of yourself. When someone makes this statement that outside world and the people and the situation is just mere projection of your inner self, interiority, then we must work on it. We must explore with it. And the day you realize what is inside, that is outside, that time your complete attention goes inside and you'll start rectifying things, understanding things, cleansing things inside. Whenever we talk Adhyatma, whenever we talk spirituality, it is all about you. It is all about your Antaranga, interiority. Nothing deals with the outside the world. Because this outside world is a temporary projection of the complete life itself. It is a temporary projection. It is called avastha, Jagrat avastha. And it exists as long as you are Jagrat. By the time you slip out of this avastha, this world doesn't belong to you. There is a private world which opens up for. That is Swapna Avastha. Many people are ignorant about that Avastha because they are sleepwalkers in Jagrat Avastha. For them, this Jagrat is also so gloomy, so dreamlike, because most of the time they are in their imaginary worlds. They live in their mind and try to find the solution outside. When I say live in our mind and search for the outside, I'm pointing out that even your illusions are also projected from inside. You have not came out of the womb yet. We are still in the womb, in our mental womb, in our own mental sheath. To talk about Anahata from here, it is a realistic approach to live as you are. To live as you are. Then the projection from inside and the outside becomes one. Your lifestyle, the way you speak, kaya, vacha, manasa, everything will be aligned towards spiritual lifestyle. That is according to your interiority. How beautiful is your interiority? The same thing is projected outside. Now you cannot control the outside situation. You can only control your inside situation. But when we say go back, get inside yourself, you bring your logical mind. You bring your mind, but never learned the language of the heart. That is what is called Anahatanada, the language of the heart. We only know the intelligence which belongs to the mind. We never touched, understood, felt, connected to the intelligence of the heart. And everything that inspired us about puja, worship, God, Puranas, miracles done by gods, Deva Leela, Leela, everything is from the power of the heart. Mind cannot understand the heart. And why mind cannot understand the heart? You all have heard this story when Krishna is highly worshipped God and highly enchanted God. No one cannot resist falling in love with him if you know him in and out. In his era, everyone fell in love with him. And Radha is such a great lover of Krishna. But Krishna, most of the time, used to get lost with playing the flute. He was spreading energy, creating certain vibrance in his environment through the flute, through music, through the nada. And Radha used to get jealous of that flute, which is always in contact with Krishna's lips. So one time she snatches the flute from Krishna and complains, how can you give more time to this lifeless thing than me? Then Krishna says, lifeless, this is made up of bamboo. It is full of life. Then Radha asks, what is there in it to be life? Then Krishna says, it is so empty that it can produce so lovely music. But Radha, look at you, are you empty? So the flute represents the heart, where the Krishna's breath works as a magical tune, whereas Radha is filled with thoughts, emotions, with mind. Hence, she cannot be a part of Krishna. She never been a part of Krishna. Of course, it's a beautiful combination of mind and heart when Radha followed Krishna. So, in order to be empty is to drop the mind. then your heart will start pumping the real tune of the cosmic music, cosmic breath. When that cosmic breath, which is already playing in you with breath, breathing in and breathing out, so hum, so. With the beat of the heart, it is called anahatanada. And breath is connected to your heart, hence the Vayu Tattva. The day when you discover the magic of the heart and how to live by the heart, not from the mind, then body and heart becomes the magical tool to look into the God who is not outside, who is hidden within ourselves in the cave of our heart. But we have so many problems in our life, so many expectations in our relationship. I cannot be alone to be inside me, to be connected with my God within me, but I'm always outside me trying to connect with others. How to live with the heart? Say, look at the baby. She will take a doll. She will play with the doll. She will comb the doll. She will dress the doll. She will even make it to eat the doll. And she will sing a lullaby to the doll. And with the doll, she will also sleep. Okay. No expectation from the doll. It is the pure love with the doll. Just taking care of the doll out of love, not out of any expectations. When that small baby, minus mind, innocent soul or innocent heart, which is not corrupted by the society or upbringing of the culture, she can connect with the lifeless doll and still offer the service to that doll and without even expectation. The question comes to us, why can't we live like her? That is called seva. That is called prema. That is called bhakti. Why can't we take everyone outside are the beings of God and just serve them? To serve somebody, why there is an expectation? To serve somebody, why there is a demand? To serve someone, why there is a possessiveness which we think it is love? Once you try to own it, you have destroyed it. More you try to own it, more it goes out of you. Just a simple way of life, worship everything and everyone around you, whatever way you can serve the capabilities that you hold by kaya, vacha, manasa, whatever way you can serve others other than you with their knowledge or without their knowledge, then it is called seva. Then it is means you are operating from the heart center. Most of us, our awareness, either we operate from the Mooladhara chakra in the race of security, in the race of earning money, cheating people around us, trying to telling lies to us, or we operate from the sex and the lust, or we operate out of worries. This is not the actual life. Only when your awareness starts operating from the heart, you are not worried about the consequences, good, bad, ugly. You are just in love with everything which is inside and everything which is outside, which was created much before you, which will be there after you. But heart remains eternal. So we have never connected with the eternity within us, which is heart. We always dealt with the temporary mind, which keeps changing all the time. Then how do we understand the intelligence of the heart? For this, we need the real sadhana, real understanding, real knowledge which I will put into the actions. Knowledge, not that which I accumulate. Anything I know, I'll apply it, whether I fail or win. Anything I take, I apply it. And in the lower, from the lower rungs, when you climb to the Anahata Chakra, then you will become in tune with the Anahata Nada, the frequency with which this world is operating. Once I tune with it, my real spiritual journey starts. Till then, my living is conditional. My thoughts are conditioned thoughts. My emotions are conditioned emotions. And we don't know when to shift to the mind and the emotion, mind and the heart. We don't know when to get into the action and when to get into the silence and meditation. There are two things are happening all the time. One is active process. Second one is the passive receptiveness. Active process belong to the mind. You need to apply the mind for the activity. Once activity is done, then comes to the heart center to become passive, to become receptive. Till the earth, you do agriculture. Tilling is happening. Seeding the soil, sowing the seed is happening. Till now, it is Purusha. It is activity. You need mind. You need to use body. Once seed is sown, you have to be very passive, very loving, with all the persistence and patience for that seed to sprout. You cannot bring anything into this. You have no choice there. Your efforts are now ended. The grace is descending. You have to allow grace to descend in your life. But every time we keep into acting and acting, more than acting and acting, we are busy with reacting and reacting. No space for the grace. No time to receive yourself. No time to rest the mind, rest the body. No time to contemplate, bring the intelligence of the heart to rise. We are always in the rat race. Run and run and run. One more day of life. We are on the hospital bed. We are on the deathbed. We are requesting for one more day of life. Whereas so many days which were available, we are not living those lives. So when to be passive and when to be active, this has to be identified. Activeness belongs to the mind and passiveness, receptivity belongs to the heart. Whenever you are doing a meditation, don't do meditation as an action to do something. Whenever you are doing a meditation, be receptive to the grace, become passive, become Prakriti, become Stri Tattva. There is a Purusha Tattva and Stri Tattva. Purusha Tattva is all about doing, all about actions. Stri Tattva is all about persistence, receptiveness. Allow the seed to sprout. We are one action after the other. The meditation is all about becoming very much receptive and trying to find the God within us, God outside us. And loving, serving everyone unconditionally. Maybe his husband or the children or the parents or someone else. If you have an energy, you can serve to the limitation you have, you serve. Don't bring any role place into it, just serve. If it is your child, you become Yashodhara. You become Yashoda. If it is a husband, you become a Radha, Rukmini. Don't worry about the other person, whether he is there or not. You try to see. If that perception comes, then you are living in a spiritual self. You need energy. Everyone has that abundant energy within you. Once it is so happened in the Bombay, one man was very weak, around 60, 65, very weak. One Swami went to meet him. He was laying on the bed. He can only get up with the support of two nurses. He was under the care. And it is so happened, this fellow went and spoke to him and came back. And one day it is so happened that that building got caught a fire. And surprisingly, this Swami thought that old man is died because without the support he cannot get up and his survival rate is 0. But later he heard that that old man is the first one to escape from the fire exit. Then again he went in to verify the story. He went and met that old man. He was back to that condition where he needed a support. Then he asked, how could you run from those conditions? He said, no, it's a God's will. It's a God's energy. God gave me energy, so I ran away. And Swami was astonished. It is his own energy that he could go out. Sometime our mind makes us pathetic. Sometime our mind makes us weak, dependent. But in any emergencies, in any given emergencies, we are beyond the limitation of the mind. That is a potential which lies beyond the layers, under the layers of the mind. Stop, know when to operate from the mind and when to get back to the heart. We are living in a comfortable life, hence our heart is not opening up. The language of the heart is only felt by few women during their pregnancy, post-pregnancy, when child is 5-month-old or 9-month-old. Later that intuitive power is gone, that garbha is gone, that heart intelligence it starts declining. But mothers have that natural intelligence in their hearts. Their guidance, their living, their suggestions, their blessing, their caretaking. But those mothers are now antique. Now all mothers are calculative mothers. They are not mothers. We need to understand what is motherhood. It is not female or a male. Motherhood is a capability of using your anahata. So once we start loving the world like the baby which loves the doll, once you start serving others the way the baby serves its own doll without any expectation, if you start living in that sense without any expectation or possessiveness or conditions, then slowly the intelligence of the heart will start coming up. It will start guiding you. But before that, know very well when to use the mind, when to use the Purusha Tattva, becoming active in the life, and you should know when to become a passive, receptive in the life. Drop from the mind to the heart. Till the cooking, mother is active in the kitchen, till the cooking. Once everything is set, and she has to wait for the rice to cook. She cannot do anything else. The rice should happen. We cannot do any magic. We have to wait, allow it to happen. So in life, there are certain things that you have to do and certain things you have to allow it to happen. By that way, you will realize that your heart chakra, your anahata chakra is active. And once your intelligence of the heart, which is connected from many lifetime, this mind belongs to this lifetime. Old mind belongs to the old life. That mind is useless now. You learned horse riding in your previous life. Now it is useless. Now you will learn how to ride the BMW car. It will be useless in the next life. But heart has learned from the day one, from even taking this birth, the name and the form, that heart is still connected to the God, the creation, the creator. So if you want to be in the spiritual life, learn to know the language of the heart, learn to live from the heart, learn to think from the heart. Then we call you as a spiritual being. And that's how I become in tune with Anahatanada. Anahatanada, which is a substratum for this creation called Jagrata Swapna Sushupti, which is a substratum for this body, Nama Rupa, to emerge, which is an indirect, invisible power which is holding all of us, animals to the plants, to humans, to the stars, to the earth. So if you want to tap that intelligence, you must drop down from the mind to the heart. And the day you start completely living from the heart, then we will call you as a spiritual being. This is Anahata Chakra. This is Anahata Chakra. Questions? Any questions? Yes, pardon me.
Gurukula, this question has been bothering me a lot in the recent days, Gurukula, because we are so very much identified with our body. We have seen people who have been so-called spiritual, who have not had any, any commitments, who have lived for 40, 45 years, following some kind of philosophy. Even they cannot come out of their body, in the end of their lives. And we are so very much identified with our body that mind is literally connected to the body. So heart is not.
Yes.
So yes, so mind, we literally identify our mind with our body. So if we distance this, will heart, Anahata Chakra, take care of every duty that the mind is doing?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that is the transformation we say. That is the time we call it as transformation. Once you drop your mind, right now we have no reference. If I drop my mind, what will happen? Because every time I have to think, every time I have to worry, every time I have to prepare. So this is what is societal condition. But the day when I realize, when I drop this, only when you drop this, the intelligence of the heart will come. It is a veil that you have to drop your mind. And the only one who courageous, he can only recognize it. We will do it sometimes we have done it, but we have not recognized it. Sometime when our things have not worked, our influences have not worked, our money has not worked, our status has not worked, our people have not worked, we say, Bhagavanta Ninniche. Everything God's will. You stopped, you have no choice. But things healed. When things healed, mind gave you a reason and again it picked you up. Mind didn't do anything those times. It was the power of the heart which did and which is doing all the time. But mind again picks it up, giving you the reasons. So this rational mind we have to drop. That dropping process is called getting into the spiritual life.
So our physiological function, everything we can carry on without this mind.
Absolutely. There are two kinds of the mind we are talking about. One is ordinary mind, which is connected with the body, which knows its job. Then after the ordinary mind, it is a collective mind, which spoils the ordinary mind. Ordinary mind, it knows it will trigger a hunger, it will make you sleep, it will make you respond, it will make you react. But this collective mind, which is collected from the society, cultural condition. This mind we have to unlearn. Because of its interference in the system, it is spoiling the both mind and the ordinary mind and the body. Our ordinary mind is hijacked by the collective influential mind, societal mind, cultural mind. That is the problem that we have to drop. And once you know the intelligence of the heart will come, any Mahatma is not prepared. He says Bhagavantanich, he will take care of it. If he becomes, if he doesn't get food, he says it's his will. Maybe he is repairing my intestine. Okay, some negativity hurts. He says maybe it is his will because he knows something good is happening. But we all the time we want to prepare ourselves. We all the time we have to prepare. We have to accumulate, prepare, accumulate. In that process, we have become very full and full of anxiety, and we think this as a responsibility. The day when you drop it, not out of force, you have no choice. Like for that you have to walk in the forest in the night. Then you will realize your conscious mind will not come for your help. Then you worry, you will develop fear, worry. And this is practically happened to me. I worried a lot, I feared a lot. Then after a half an hour walk, I decided myself, better dying with my own mind. Let me die in the hands of the wilds. So I dropped my mind. It was peaceful walk, and I reached my destination. That time I realized this mind is not needed. Even it is not needed for your day-to-day life. But in terms of responsibility, I take. And responsibility of the mind, what does it do? It creates anxiety, guilt, or worry. And I started experimenting day by day. One day only, I dropped my mind, taking care of my day-to-day activity, no risk time. Okay, now I'll drop my mind. Okay, it worked. Then I dropped for 2 days. Then it worked. I dropped for 3 days. It didn't work because there is an emergency. Mind has to be used. But more I got confidence that the intelligence of the heart is more powerful than the conscious mind, the mind or unconscious mind that we are working. Then I realized that is what in the general sense we say become empty, become nothing, drop all your worries. All that is the language of the heart. We have to experience to know it.
But as our physical body gets weaker, I think it will be difficult for us to separate the mind from the body.
No, body will heal automatically if you drop the mind. This body will heal automatically if you drop the mind. That's what happens when you do fasting. If you do fasting for 3 days, you fight with your mind. But if you are determined, the 4th day, victory will be yours. Then as the mind withdraws in fasting, your conscious mind slowly loses its grip. But these 3 days, it brings all its power, pralobhana, desires. So if you don't work on desires, fears. No fears, trembles, sensations. If you still work, if you go to the 4th day, you know you conquered the mind. Then you realize you working for the mind working for you, the difference. Then everything is, then you think, that is what I try to see from the point of view of a Buddha. For his point of view, the life is same. The way life is same for us, for him also life is same politics, same accidents, same life. But his mind is not spoiled like ours. He don't see from the mind because our mind is distorted mind. He sees as it is, and his acceptance level is 200%. So if he gets a cancer, he knows it is a cancer. Cancer has come to the body, and body will eventually go, whether it will go natural or through cancer. The acceptance level has come. But our mind doesn't accept the life as it is. It keeps on fighting. To fight, it does 2 things. One, it veils the reality. What it is, it will not show you. Not only veiling the reality, it will also create an illusion. It will first cover the reality, then after covering the reality, it will show you something else. And we say, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ನಾನು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ನಾನು ಹಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಈ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಬದುಕಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀವಲ್ಲ, ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಬದುಕಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀವಿ. ಓ, ಐ ಥಾಟ್ ಸೊ, I imagined so. Why you need to think? Why you need to thought so or imagine so? Because without imagination, I cannot move. That is our weakness. But life will eventually has to cross. So that is the subtle difference between mind and heart we have to work on. Then we know all our worries are useless. What worries brings result, those worries are good. But there are so many other unnecessary worries which are not good for the health of the mind and the body and the society. These subtle differences we need to understand.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Guru.
Yes. Yes. Others? Any question for that matter?
I have a question.
Yes, yes, sir.
Sir, you said we learn to drive master vehicles in this life, but we won't carry it to next life. So that learning is happening through the mind. Because we drop the mind here, we don't carry it. So what learning we have carried from past lives?
Oh, okay. We have not carried any learning from the past lives. We have carried only the wisdom. We have carried the wisdom, which our conscious mind is not allowing us to apply it. See, if learning has come in the last life, we have learnt the samsara. We learnt about exchange, whatever money, gold, barter system, whatever it is. But still, why we are repeating the same life? There should have been, now looking back at our life, there is a learning. If I ask you, that is what in Chakradhyana I say, if given a chance, would you live the same the way you lived? Everyone said no. Would you repeat the way you lived? You said no. You want to live again? This is a problem with the yogis. Everything is good, appa. Given a chance to you, you will not live the way you lived. But unfortunately, when you die and when you come to the next life, you would have forgotten all the lessons. And you will commit the same mistake that you have committed many lifetimes, not a previous life, many lifetimes. Then where is the learning? Then it means whatever I have learned unconsciously. Now I will learn consciously. I will understand the limitation of it. Then I will realize who am I. Then anything is learned under awareness that will transform knowledge into wisdom. That wisdom will give a way out. It will not give you next life. It will end life cycle for you. And many people, the last learning will only, that will start awakening only when they come into the heart center. Then suddenly the intelligence will start coming. They have not read in any books. They have not heard from any gurus. They start guiding others. And where does that guiding has come? That is all. See, you talk to any common man, he can give you good guidance. Where that guidance has come, only thing mind will not allow us to apply. We will learn, know that we know everything already. That's what we realize at the end. That's called realization. Then there is nothing to be learned. There is nothing to be taught. Then that is the time you become complete. Then you start loving yourself. I am telling you, we fail to serve others only because I don't love myself. When I say myself, it is subjective for others. When I say myself, they may recognize themselves as the image in the mirror or the visions of others or personality given by this the society. When I say I love myself completely. When I start loving myself, then only I can love others. Only when I can love others, I can serve others. The compassion will come automatically. So it is a real transformation. It cannot be the vocabulary transformation. It cannot be a verbal transformation. It has to be real, and it will come if you walk into that path. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So our spiritual work, the challenge is how to drop the mind and apply the heart. Yes, we have to start recognizing more of the heart than of the mind. So that's how we can drop the mind. We should be aware which sangha we are in. Am I in the sangha of the mind? Am I in the sangha of the heart? Nobody can teach you. Of course, the spiritual learning, it will guide you, point out. But for us, spiritual learning is same habitual listening. It's like tape recorder, same words, same motivation. It is like intellectual, it's intellectually, it's good, some goosebumps, wow. But when I go back, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana happens. When I sink that knowledge in my heart, then that will start giving me the guidance, and there will be a tremendous transformation in you. The only question I'll ask you, are you the same person you were the last Guruvara? How are you transformed? Transformed in terms of worries with the new worries, or the new physical changes, or his entire personality with the perception has transformed? That is the question that we have to ask. Every day is repeating. I am also a repeated person. I am living again and again as the same person. If I sleep today and tomorrow I wake up and I find myself, oh, there is a tremendous transformation in me, the way I see life, the way I see the pain, the way I see my body and the mind and the society. Wow, I took a birth again. And every day is transformative day till no transformation happens or transformation ends. But many people, that transformation is an irritation. They fear the change. They fear the change. It is not because of others, it's our own mind. Manaiva Manushanam Karanam Bandha Moksha. It is, you have to fear your own mind. You have to fight your own mind. You have to work on your mind. You have to set your mind. And entire spiritual teaching is given to the mind, not to the heart, because heart knows everything. Challenge is to silence the mind. And it can be done by only recognizing between the mind and the no mind. Yes, Aparna.
So is what we call complete surrenderance, what some great people have achieved. Is it dropping off the mind, when they're ready to accept anything that is going to happen, whether they're going to die the next moment, or whether they're going to see their loved ones, suffering. If they just accept it and just leave it, is that what is dropping the mind?
Yes, absolutely. That is what is called dropping the mind. We call enlightenment, we call surrendering, we call transformation. Everything is all about not operating from the mind. Then we know that common mind knows, see, like you have memory, right? Memory, see, it's beautiful understanding about the mind. Look at the memory. Memory is useful, right? It is useful remembering few names, your bank balance, your ATM pin, people around you, the city you belong, that's all good. And the power of the mind is such, it's good that it doesn't remember certain unwanted things. Alva. So we appreciate mind which is applicable, that I can remember the contact list in my mobile, my account number, my PIN code, and the people around me. And the same memory is also good, not remembering certain memories, certain images, events which happened in my life. Okay. Mind is that tool. The common mind is that tool. But collective mind is the problem. You have to drive the collective mind. The normal mind is there. What is normal mind? The mind, you look at the child. Its cognitive senses are perfect. Everything is there. It sleeps. When hungry, it eats. It goes around, learns things, recognizing everything. Then we start programming that child. Then how we spoil the child with our societal programming? That's called Atma Bodha. We will learn how we got programmed into this world, this society now. Then recognizing who are you actually. The simple question you have to ask to drop the mind, who are you before taking the birth? Before Nama Rupa. What were you? Who are you? Then your mind will not come there. It will drop. And everyone utna baitna to hota hi hai. Still life will, we think without thinking life cannot happen. Yes, it will happen so perfect. We are still living in the loop, worrying extra. Eventually we have what we have to do, worrying extra. Accumulation is good, more accumulation is problem. Losing memory is good, but we lost the memory of the self and the God. That is the problem. I am putting lot of efforts to bring you, but I know that I cannot bring it in terms of words or in any workshops. But I'm still struggling to make you experience, make you all experience. When you drop the mind, what is the beauty you experience? So we like to eat sweet, we like to dance, we like to go to the sunset, we like to go to some very good nature place, just to lose the mind. Just to lose the mind. Your vacation is nothing but losing the mind. Your celebration is nothing but losing the mind. When you dance, it means you want to lose the mind. When you laugh, who doesn't like to laugh? Because in laughing, you drop your mind. Who doesn't like to dance? In dancing, you lose your mind. Who doesn't like to play? Because in playing, you drop the mind. Who doesn't like to sleep? In sleeping itself is dropping the mind. Every action of desire, I want to be with my beloved because I don't want to bring my mind. I want to drive my dream car because when you are in dream car, you don't think of the mind. Everything that you call bliss is dropping the mind, but we have never realized it. We want to hold more on into the mind. ಅದು ಕಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಶೂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕಲ್ ತೆಗಿಯೋದು ನಡೆಯೋದು ಅಬ್ಬಾ ಎಷ್ಟು ಆರಾಮಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ಕಲ್ಲು ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ತುರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದು ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಕಲ್ಲು ಇದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಸಂತೋಷ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ಹಂಗೆ ಕೀಪಿಂಗ್ ದ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ವೈಲ್ ಐ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ಐ ಫೀಲ್ ಬ್ಲಿಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಬಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಓಕೆ ವಿತ್ ದ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಬ್ಲಿಸ್ ಬೇಚೈನಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಒದ್ದಾಟ ಕಾಡುತ್ತೆ
Absolute fear of losing mind, Guru.
Absolutely fear of losing mind. That we have learnt in the mind management. That is the last stage, that when you drop, you evolve. And that dropping will happen naturally by the knowledge, jnanam. Jnana. That will happen naturally.
Thank you, Guru.
Yes, Makar Banisht.
Namaste, Anna. Want to drop them, want to do unconditional seva, but the limited time and limited energy, the resources will stop us. How to overcome the limitness of time and energy, Anna?
To do seva, others selflessly, you have to become selfish. Selfish enough to take care of your health. Selfish enough to take care of your mind, body, emotions, so that without you becoming a strong, you cannot serve others. So the formula is you have to become selfish to become selfless. Neither we are selfless, neither we are selfish. That is our problem. Okay. So first we have to strengthen ourselves. We have to be very strong ourselves to serve others. Just by the theory, just by the philosophy, I can only do it for 3 days. And of course, our heart chakra has to open. And we know that how our heart chakra opens. What are the qualities to be understood to open our heart chakra? Literally, I'm telling you, it works. I serve as long as I can. When my body drops, I will not even take out the pin or a glass of water next side. I simply collapse. That's it. But before collapsing, I will do all that 99% work. I used to, now no. But those days, they didn't recognize it. I didn't bother. I have to do it as long as I can. When my body dropped, I dropped. No drama, no 3 days getting up. Complete healing, complete rest. One complete rest is taken, not like installment rest. Others take an installment rest. No, no. Complete rest, 3 days, then you come back. And it is more than the body, your will and wish which works. If all the sannyasis, all the brahmacharis, we teach them to be selfish. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. Help yourself. Once you are complete by yourself, naturally overflow. Naturally will help. Yaro, someone will be walking on the road. If the kerchief falls or if some belongings falls, will you not take it and give it to them? Will there be any expectation? Will there be any hard work? No, it is just a shift of perception. That's it. Someone says, you keep the bag, please guard the bag for 2 minutes. I'll go and book the ticket and come back. You will guard without any expectation. That ability is within us. What we have to recognize is two things. One, cultural conditioning of the mind. Try to do and see what happens. What stops you? Oh, my mind is stopping. Good. A fear of losing. Good. At least recognize. At least recognize the play of the mind. That will help us a lot. We should be aware of the mind, our cultural mind. And that is called meditation. In meditation, what will happen when you close, you sit? Just know how your mind will trick you to get up or make you sleep. It's okay if you sleep. It's okay if you get up for the job. At least you know the trick of the mind which is playing with you. The day you are aware of the trick of the mind, you win. And mind cannot do anything if you are aware. Mind is useless if you are aware. It is very powerful only when you are unaware, unconscious. This we have to recognize. And what is the takeaway is try to serve others like that baby who takes care of its doll. And whenever there is an action, Prakriti Tattva, do the action completely. When you have to work, work completely. And when you have to be passive, be passive. When you have to be restful, be restful. Our mind will, even if you lie down on the bed, you will take mobile and start scrolling down from the Facebook. It is the forceful sleep that you are sleeping. You don't know how to take conscious rest. Taking a conscious rest is meditation. And that will give you prafullata. That will give you great rejuvenation, the healing. Just break away from the mind, mental routine. That is what is needed. Then you should become the guide, the leader to lead your mind. At least in a day, one activity that you lead the mind. Mind is powerful in its habit. Break that habit. Yes, Aparna.
One example, Gurugle, how should we start? Because I'm absolutely going crazy sometimes trying to do that. Just tell me one activity where I can lose my mind, even if it is for 5 minutes.
I'll tell you my case, how I use it. Most of the time, my mind doesn't like me to fold the cloths. It doesn't like. It's an ego issue. So I know it wants me to skip it. So now I make deliberately. I go, I fold all my clothes and keep it clean. And the satisfaction that gives, my mind will becomes very weak. Then I use it for something else. I have to water the plant. And yes, I fall back to the routine. I know. I fall back to the routine. After 3 days or 7 days, I bring my mind to the deliberate action. Very simple exercise is just listen one song completely. Just listen one song completely with the lyrics. You took mind into control. Because you start the song, it will start jumping something, this and that. It will always pull you. Do one thing which your mind doesn't like. And then surrender to the mind. Don't fight with the mind. Do only one thing, very small thing. You wanted to keep that box aside from many days. Now go immediately keep it. Because your mind is ignoring you, prioritizing. So cheat your mind every day. Try to cheat your mind every day or a weekly once. Then slowly the confidence will come. Sometimes I go and wash my two-wheeler. I never wash my two-wheeler. I leave it to the rain. But just for the sake of the mind, I go and wash the two-wheeler and come back. From there, I get certain level of power over mind. Then I read one book. Usually when I start my reading one book, my mind will prompt me to read another book. Then I pick up that book and say, no, you have to do that workshop, do that research. Or then I go, no, you have to write the book. It plays you so well. Just to make sure you are under its control. And if you break 3 times, then you know the power of, dropping the mind. Yes.
Thank you, Guru.
Yes. Let's do meditation. Oh, time is over. So just drop your mind, bring your attention to the heart. Let us use imagination as a tool. Visualize there is the lotus and Narayana is there and Lakshmi is there. Lakshmi Sameta Narayana. Narayana is looking at you and Lakshmi, by pressing the legs of the Narayana, looking at you affectionately. We will try to hold on. Our mind will slip. Track the mind and bring it back. Again, our mind will slip. Now, this process has to be done lovingly. Ishtapat madbek. You have to like it, then only we do it. That is the formula. You like it, you can break the mind. Without your liking, it will not happen. First, like this meditation technique, like it, till then your mind is under your control. The moment you personally don't like the meditation, it will take control over. It is a endganda it managoda nadiyat kelsa madadadu. So do it as long as possible. Then you can log out voluntarily. Okay. Start yourself. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed. And visualize, because God is within you. He is operating inside you. You have no reference, but without his and will, his wish, this body, this world cannot emerge. Install the Creator within your heart. And also observe the play of the mind. Your mind can play you with only 2 ways. Taking you to the past, taking you to the future. Now recognize it. Recognize the play of the mind. Keep your attention to the God. And it will make you to sleep. Don't sleep. Recognizing the play of the mind is meditation. Dropping that mind is samadhi.